Hello, and welcome to a new video here on the Mickey Blog YouTube channel. This is a review, a non-spoiler review of Avatar: The Way of Water. My name is Jared, and I'm the host of the Mickey Blog podcast. You can go and check that out. But here on the Mickey Blog YouTube channel and on the Mickey Blog website, we cover all things Disney, from the films to the parks to the cruise line, and so much more company-wide. But regardless of all that, this is a review, a full film review of Avatar: The Way of Water, the long-awaited sequel to the smash hit, not just smash hit, sorry, the most successful film of all time at the box office with over $2.9 billion, Avatar, which dropped 13 years ago now in 2009. Avatar: The Way of Water, obviously a super hyped up film. James Cameron typically does not miss, when it comes to cliches or phrases within the film industry. There's an age-old phrase that people like to say, and that's that don't bet against James Cameron. And truly, I believe that is a phrase for a reason. So let's jump right into it right away. First off, from a ground zero perspective, I just have to say that this film is phenomenal. It is a box office pleaser type of movie in the same vein of Top Gun Maverick in regards to just fully a satisfying movie-going experience. I won't say the film is on the same level of Top Gun Maverick from a story perspective, and I'll jump into a little bit of that in a little bit. But I also believe that the film itself is simply magnificent from a bring your whole family to the movies perspective, and or just go for a date night, or just to go watch a film in IMAX, which is what I did. I did watch the film in IMAX 3D, and I just believe that this film could not be any better from that perspective. So kudos to James Cameron right off the bat and the entire Avatar team. But regardless, let's jump into a few of the reasons why I believe this film just works. For starters, obviously the visuals. I mean, every review you're going to find on YouTube, and whether it's written online or filmed on YouTube or anywhere in between, people are going to talk about the visuals. But like a pizza place that's highly rated, it's usually highly rated or talked about for a reason, and the visuals here are tremendous. I mean, groundbreaking stuff all around. For me, I could not stop staring at the screen, and one of the things that kept, catching my eye was that I almost would miss plot points because I found myself staring at, like, a Pandora fish or a whale. And I just was like, what? Oh, crap, I missed what was just said because I couldn't stop staring at that over there, which I personally found really cool. I found that whole aspect of the film almost a strange and unique experience to me, because I found myself just so entranced at the visuals. And that can be rare for a film these days, because whether it's VFX artists or CGI or anything, sometimes you're almost taken out of a film because things don't look that realistic. And for me, that was just couldn't be farther from the case. I felt like I was transported to another world half the time in this movie. And that's just incredible and such a rarity in itself. But beyond the visuals, I do have to say that the action is also tremendous. I mean, I was almost shocked at how quickly this film brings you in. I expected, with a 3 hour and 10 minute long runtime, I expected, I guess, a level of delay in terms of really jumping into the meaty parts of the story. And that wasn't the case here. I felt like, yes, there was some exposition, there was some setup, but they also brought you right into the action and going against the Jake Sully versus Quaritch, General Miles Quaritch dynamic again. And I felt like that was just super cool to me. Speaking of Quaritch, Stephen Lang was a huge standout for me in this film. He's bigger and badder and bluer than usual, which I'm sure you guys have already picked up from trailers and reviews and everything. But but that to me, he was a huge standout. I thought that his villain had more depth and more ferocity in this film. Those fight scenes were basically visceral in nature and so aggressive, and I found myself almost being like scared in certain moments. And I mean that in a good way, in the sense where they raised the stakes, which I believe was a unique and cool addition in this film. It wasn't that the first film didn't have high stakes, but I think because this film felt more grounded and you almost get more attached to the characters, it almost felt like the stakes were just obviously higher because of that. And because of the family dynamic in this film, more than anything. So getting into the family dynamic, obviously there's memes all over the internet that talk about, the Fast and Furious franchise and family. It's all about family. And this film actually might say the word family more than Vin Diesel and Fast and Furious. So kudos to that. Whether that's a good thing or a bad thing to you, I'm not sure. But regardless, I think that's a good thing because they nailed the family dynamic in this film. I think that's where this film flourishes from a story perspective. Is the story simplistic? Is the story very similar and in the same vein as the first film? Sure, yeah, there's a lot of overlap there. But at the same time, I also found myself more invested and more interested in this story than I was the first. And a lot of that has to do with the family dynamic. I believe that having Jake Sully and Neytiri have these children that they're looking out for, and this whole Sully clan, basically, it adds so much more depth, not just to Jake Sully and Neytiri's character, but to every supporting character because the stakes are naturally higher. Now you have Jake Sully and Neytiri constantly trying to protect these children, show them the right way, show them right from wrong. But another great lesson in this film that I believe not a lot of films dive into when it comes to parenthood is that Jake, Sully, and Neytiri are also learning, what it takes to be a good parent, what it takes to be a good dad or a good mom. And I believe that's a cool storyline that I almost wanted to see more of in a way. So I thought that was great. And for me, by the way, Sigourney Weaver was the standout of the film, and her character in Kiri and all of that. Without getting into spoilers, very fascinating character. In this film, she plays a 14-year-old girl. And for me, when I first heard that, I thought to myself, like, a 73-year-old Sigourney Weaver playing a 14-year-old child, how does that possibly work? And she made it work. It was truly incredible. I thought that it was convincing. I wasn't necessarily taken out of it. And frankly, I'm so interested to learn more about her character in the upcoming film or films, however many more Avatar films they end up making. There is 5 that are scheduled to come out in total, but, James Cameron has mentioned that basically the 4th and 5th film will only get made if the second movie does well at the box office. So we will stay tuned on that front. But yeah, Sigourney Weaver's Kiri character was, to me, a standout in the film. She was so interesting. Her storyline was interesting. And every time I spent time with her character, I wanted to just stick around. I wanted to learn more about how her mind works, her connection to Pandora and Avatar. And again, I don't want to jump too much into spoiler territory here, so I won't. But truly a standout for me, both in performance and in the writing of that character. Some of the other children didn't connect with me as much. It's not to say that I wasn't as connected with them at all, but I would just say that I was far more connected with Weaver's character. Mostly just because she seemed more interesting to me. But again, it wasn't really about how individually interesting these characters were. It was about how the family dynamic works and how, as a whole, the family is the centralized theme and main plot point of this entire film. What does it mean to have a family, to protect your children, to protect your wife, to protect your family as a whole? What does that mean, and how powerful is that? And more than anything, how do you stick together to help each other? And how can a parent learn from a child as much as a child learns from a parent? Which I believe is another valuable lesson in itself. So the action, again, was tremendous, but the third act is really where the film really takes it up a notch. You know, again, I compared this film to Top Gun Maverick earlier in the video in regards to how entertaining and blockbustery it is. But I also want to compare it to Top Gun Maverick from the sense where I believe the third act of both films really just like brings the film up a notch. I just felt like the final hour of this movie, I was nearly at the edge of my seat the whole time. And I wasn't like some massive fan of the first Avatar film, but I truly felt just fully enthralled and in it when it came to the third act of this film. From the acting to the story to the action, I mean, the fight sequences were tremendously done. And the visuals, by the way, just a quick mention, the nighttime visuals in this film. I can't stop thinking about that. Like the daytime visuals and the underwater visuals of this film were tremendous, but the nighttime visuals is really what just separates it for me. So that was incredible. But overall, just to wrap a bow on this non-spoiler review, I will have another video talking all spoilers, so be on the lookout for that in the next week. But overall, I thought this movie was a really, really well done sequel and film in general. I think that fans all over the globe are going to be more than satisfied with, you know, where the film ends, how the film goes. From a visual standpoint, it's one of the most masterfully done films in the history of cinema. And I'm not saying that lightly. But from a story perspective, it is in the same vein as the first film, yet I believe that it improves upon a lot of, of the complaints of the first film in regards to simplistic story. It is a simple story, yes, but I do believe that it actually expands quite a bit on the simplistic story of the first film. So overall, if I were to give it a final rating, before I conclude this video, my final rating is about an 8.5 out of 10. So I felt very good about it. 4 out of 5 stars, Xiao Yu. I am excited to watch it again. And more than anything, I'm actually excited, and especially excited for these sequels. So I truly hope this film does well at the box office. I believe it will. But I am hopeful and excited about the future of this franchise. I believe that this film could make, close to $2 billion worldwide. And if it does that, it has a serious shot at having all 5 of these films made. And Disney will certainly be happy that they purchased 20th Century Fox. And yeah, there's not much else to say. I just was very impressed overall by the film. And I believe people everywhere will be as well. So go out and see this movie, preferably on the biggest screen you can. I saw it in IMAX 3D, and wow, that was an experience well worth the premium ticket pricing. And I will absolutely be seeing it again in theaters. So go check out Avatar: The Way of Water. I do believe it is worth it. My official review was that it is very, very well done. And if you'd like to check out some of our other content, please feel free to check us out at the rest of our YouTube channel, of course. As I mentioned earlier, I am the co-host of the Mickey Blog podcast. You can check out that. We have weekly episodes dropping every Friday covering all things Disney within the parks world and everything in between. And feel free to check us out on our website at MickeyBlog.com or on any of our social medias. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and everything like that in between. But for now, Siva Ko. Did I say that right? I'm not sure. Point is, go check out the film. Hope you enjoy it. And have a great rest of your day. My name's Jared. Have a good one.